Good morning. Welcome everybody to our speaker session Q&A that we have for CITE. We are recording this. So just be aware if you're welcome to come off microphone, but you will be recorded and be posted to the website. So this is a session where we're going to walk you through the process of submitting a session and a chance for you to learn about our new formats and ask any questions that you might have about submitting sessions. Oops, I'm trying to control it from somewhere else. All right, so my name is Laurel Nava. I'm Director of Education and Partnerships with CITE, and I have been running the session programming since 2017.
My name is Tai Shimoto. I'm the Education Program Specialist, and I act as the project manager for the education team. I've been with this company since around the end of 2023.
Okay, so a couple expectations. Again, you can unmute yourself. You can raise your hand in Zoom. You can ask a question in the chat at any time. If it's a question that we're about to get to, we might hold it for just a minute or two. And then this recording again will be posted to the CITE website. We will timestamp each section in case you want to jump ahead to a particular section. But most important, if we could ask you to add the following two emails to your safe sender lists, that's speakers@cite.org and conference@cite.org. We find frequently every year that people are missing some of our communications around sessions. So we highly, highly encourage you to do that now. All right, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Tai.
So I'm going to be going over how exactly to submit a session. We're going to go step by step, and I'm going to detail the major pitfalls that befall some people when they begin submitting their sessions. So the first thing that we're going to start with is a very important warning, very important, because when you create your account for visiting the sessions, you must use the speaker's email and create an account as the speaker. So if you are registering for a speaker, they have to use the speaker's email. And this is very important because it will autofill the information as the speaker. If you create it as yours, it won't work. So make sure speaker's email and create the account as the speaker. So I'm going to place, this is our beginning website. I'm going to place the link to that in the chat. And this will be how you see it once you're actually on the abstract where you can submit your speaker's claim. So what we're going to do is we're going to scroll all the way to the bottom of the website. Now this details what the conference is, what the sessions are, when they'll be held potentially, as well as the submission deadline. And what you will want to do is you will want to click the Submit Abstract button. Now, when you click the Submit Abstract button, you're going to log into your account. So if you don't have an account, you need to create the account. And again, it has to be registered as the speaker. So whatever speaker for your event, the main speaker, that is who you want to create the account as. Once you've created the account, it will ask you to enter your presenter's details. Now, this CC email, if you are submitting a session for a speaker, you still use your email because the CC email will be who's getting the notifications for the process. So if you are in charge of setting the event up for a speaker, you'll want to make sure that it's your email on there, but the presenter's first name and last name will be auto-filled from the account that you've created. So create it on behalf of the speaker, your email and CC email. Now you'll want to enter the submission details. This will include the title of your session. It will also include the presentation type, which we will go over in momentarily, single or double session, as well as the details about your presentation. And then finally, once you are done submitting everything you need to for your session, including all the details, the description, you will want to review your submission. Make sure it has the information that you want to have in there. And this information will include your name, your last name, your email address, as well as the correct actual session information that you have. And once everything is completed, you will have submitted your submission and you will get a confirmation number and an email confirmation that you have submitted a session. And this confirmation number is blacked out, but it will show your actual confirmation number on there once you submit.
Now we're going to talk a bit about session types and the topics. So one thing that's really changed this year is we've expanded and clarified the types of sessions that we've had for the conference. So the first one is a solo presentation. It's a presentation given by one presenter only. Part of the reason we're doing this is to make sure we get people into the right AV and room setup there. So again, as you can see from the picture, for a solo presentation, there'll be a lectern, there will be a laptop, a single microphone, not a handheld, and a screen. Second presentation is a team presentation, a presentation given by more than 2 presenters. Same setup largely, but I do believe we're adding at least one handheld mic to that as well, so that you can move around more. For the team presentations, we need to know who is presenting completely. We need a full team. A lot of times what will happen after we set the agenda is somebody will email and say, oh, my colleague wanted me to present on this presentation, but I have a meeting conflict or a schedule conflict. Can you move it around? And that creates like a cascade of changes because it's difficult to move just one session. So please do make sure that you have your entire team when you go to submit for a team presentation session. A moderated panel. So we have a couple different types of panels this year. A moderated panel is your very traditional panel format. So we'll have a table, we'll have multiple set mics, we'll have a lectern with a moderator and a mic. And so that setup is probably what you're used to seeing at our conference. One new one we have this year is we're calling it an exchange format. So this might be 2, 3, 4 people, but the format is more a conversation that you're observing as an attendee. So it's a little bit more like a fireside chat. But again, for those panels, we're going to need to know who all the panels are. In this case, sometimes it's less of a moderated format. So it might just be 4 people having a deep discussion about a particular topic. But it's a new format that we're hoping you're willing to experiment with because it doesn't necessarily need a complicated presentation or slide deck. So this year, we're expanding our definition of what we're calling hands-on labs. Over time, as people have been bringing their own devices, we've really switched to more of a BYOD format for our labs. In addition, we've had some really great hands-on opportunities that don't necessarily fall into the hands-on lab format. So we're expanding that definition to, say, a workshop. This is one where the room will be set up in rounds. And there might be something where you have them do a paper exercise. Maybe it's a cybersecurity incident response. A common one is our disaster recovery plan template process. So it's just anything where the attendees are actually going to be working on something actively, whether it's paper-based, computer-based. The lab format for the traditional hands-on labs that are provided by some of our partners will stay the same with the classroom setup. But the workshop format for anything else will be in table rounds. A facilitated discussion. This is really nice as well, because this is something where you, as a facilitator, again, you're going to be in a room with rounds, and you're going to lead groups on a discussion about a particular topic. So picture that you might have 8 tables, and you as the facilitator, you might pose a question to the room and ask them to discuss in their table groups. And then when that discussion piece is finished, call out for some insights, and then maybe do a little bit more presentation. And then once again, ask another question of the group. This is actually a request that we have received year after year after year to add this kind of format. So again, this is in response to what our attendees would like to see. And again, this is one where you're not having to worry about making a giant 60 slide deck or anything. This is something where it can be a lot more engaging for the attendees and learn from each other. Essentials. So this is a series we're experimenting with this year, and this is going to be, depending on what we get, we're not entirely sure what the AV setup will be, but this is really like basic concepts. And we've thrown a couple like examples of what we're seeing there. Is it, project management essentials? Is it Wi-Fi 101? Is it introduction to VoIP? Anything like that. that you just want to provide a basic overview of what those things are. This can be processes, this can be technology, anything like that. And part of the reason we're doing this is because a lot of folks are working in a very niche area of technology, and they may want to learn more about data. You know, it's not something they normally work in, but some of the sessions might be really diving too deep. So this is a chance for people to experiment by expanding their knowledge base and going to more of these kind of basics sessions. The other option is if you're a technician and you're wondering about, you know, where you can find some accessible content, we're hoping to have a good series of these sessions as well. So folks at different career paths will be able to feel like they can get some really good content from our conference. So finally, we're sticking right now with our traditional strands, but you know, you never know what comes in. Sometimes we might modify or adjust these strands for the conference. Career development and teams. This is one where you might have something, you might have a leadership session. This might be something about one other popular one is from computer technician to CTO, talking about career path. How to make a better team. Anything that falls into that area goes under career development and teams. Cybersecurity and privacy is somewhat self-explanatory. Data management, this is where the CalPADS sessions live. Anything with CalPADS, SISs, anything like that will be classified as data management. Disaster planning and recovery. We have not had many sessions on this each year, and they're very, very popular. So I would highly encourage you to consider submitting a session in this area. It's an area of interest, and we're looking to actively seek more sessions in those areas. Same with network and infrastructure. That's a completely broad topic, but we're always getting requests from people. They want to see how you are doing something in a district or a county office of education. So whether it's networking, whether it's, again, you know, I'll mention VoIP again, whether it's Azure, anything like that, you know, please, we really need sessions in network and infrastructure. And then, sorry, strategy and leadership, I apologize. So those are actually where the leadership sessions go. I got ahead of myself. These are also like the larger strategy ones in terms of educational strategy. Perhaps there's something about media literacy and what needs to happen there. So those will end up in the strategy and leadership strand. Again, we may change these, we may expand, we may collapse. You know, we haven't set, for example, a separate one on AI because at this point, we think, for example, there might be an AI cybersecurity or privacy topic that belongs there, and there might be an AI strategy topic. So we're not necessarily going to do anything like that. So what everybody asks everywhere, so how do I get my session accepted? What are you actually looking for in sessions? So I wanted to walk you through a little bit of what that process looks like. Right now, you're submitting your sessions via our system. And the first thing that Ty and I are going to do is we're going to check all those submissions for completion. So by that, we mean, is there a session description that might say just, I'm going to talk about this, and that's all that it says. We'll reach back out to you and say, we need a deeper description. Go ahead and log in and revise and expand upon that. Then what we do is we take all those sessions to our CITE conference committee. That team splits the sessions up. They get approximately 25 to 30 sessions a piece that they have to review and rate on a scale of 1 to 5 for usefulness for our attendees. After all those sessions come through, we meet with them and we go through and confirm any of those session selections. Sometimes there's ones that, you know, we think actually should have gotten in there. And then we'll go ahead and schedule those sessions and send the acceptance at the same time. So we do not accept a session and then have a long period of time before that session's scheduled. We schedule it first, and then that way when you get your acceptance, you can find out right away what the day and time and location of your session will be. So why we accept a session? We need to have sessions that are really considering the type of attendees that we get. So consider ones that meet all levels of attendees. And by that, you might need to differentiate some of your information. So it's not just a CTO audience. It's not just a system engineer audience. It's not just a help desk technician audience. You can certainly create sessions that are targeted to those folks, but if you're doing a broader category, consider about how you might adjust for the different types of attendees at our conference. We don't accept a lot of ed tech sessions. We have a partnership with Q. So those sessions generally we might recommend for the Q conference. Our members consistently ask for more IT sessions. They want to see more behind the scenes, lift up the hood. What is the background? Sessions from our site members and our larger K-12 community members are really, really, really appreciated. So they will get higher attendance. If you have somebody from a school or a district who's presenting, it's a far more interest because it's your peers that are actually coming there and want to learn from each other and create an ongoing network after the conference. Again, those hands-on labs, those workshops, those are our most popular sessions because number one thing people want to walk away for based on feedback is something that I can use and implement right away when I go back to the office. And then again, clarity around what attendees will walk away with. So what is that thing that they're going to walk away with? The more you can describe that in the session description, the better the conference committee can decide if that's one that's going to be really good for the conference. All right, vendor sessions. So these are sessions from private companies. Largely, if you're in the corporate affiliate program, which is our year-round sponsorship program, every sponsor at a certain level will get a session there. So those ones are accepted, but we accept very few vendor sessions outside of that CAP program. This is entirely based on feedback that we've gotten from attendees. Attendees are not receptive to sales type presentations. I would also add to that, consider that the technical level of most of our attendees is much higher than normal. So, a question that says, a session from a vendor that says, what is cybersecurity? Let me define what it is for you. Most of our attendees are going to know that already, and they want to hear deeper solutions. They want to hear harder things that they can tackle and take back. So to that point, any session that is like ask an engineer, ask a developer, where you can actually bring those folks to the presentation, highly valued by our attendees. And then vendor sessions that have a district presenter, they must be clearly marked as a vendor session. We have had instances in past years where a vendor has put in the name, they've put in a district person, their name, their title, their organization. So we think it's coming from a district or a COE, and we found out later on it was actually coming from a vendor. That's not okay. That's against our policies, and it's something where we will immediately cancel that session if it gets through. All right, so I'm going to turn it over to Ty, and he's going to talk about kind of what happens after your session gets submitted.
Absolutely. So after you submit your session, so our submission deadline is March 31st, and this is for the deadline for you to actually submit your session in. During that time, we'll go through the review process that Laurel detailed, and then we will have acceptance notifications and schedule launch at around June of this year. So once that happens, we're going to post everything to our agenda. So we very much would like if you could go to the agenda as soon as it's posted and check and make sure everything is right. We need your day and time. We need your co-presenters. We need all the information, including your description and your session title. Make sure everything is correct, because you don't want to be coming a week away from conference, look and see that something's wrong, and we have to scramble and make sure that it gets fixed before conference comes up. Let us know ahead of time if something's wrong or if something hasn't been posted correctly. Now, be on the lookout. We will be sending a submission acceptance or rejection email at that time, and it contains the speaker discount code, so the speaker can register at a discount for the conference. And it's worth saying one more time to emphasize safe sender speakers at CITE.org and conference at CITE.org. We will be sending a lot of emails from both of those email addresses, and we do not want them to be in the spam folder. Now, this is an example of the acceptance email. It'll contain the contact's first name. It'll contain the submission for the project, and it will tell you that it's been accepted. And it will remind you again to make sure that the agenda is to view the agenda for the specific date and time, as well as all the details of the session. And you might be asked to modify the content itself, depending on what the reviewer says, if it's accepted or if it's accepted with an asterisk of a couple modifications. And then it will contain my generally name and email as well. If you need to ask any questions, you can just ask at speakers@cite.org. Please. I see a question in the chat. What about the experience of a school district implementing a major platform by a vendor? Sort of pluses and minuses that we are experience putting this platform in service.
Yeah, that is actually that's valued, very much valued. My caveat on that is where we've had negative feedback is if then it's one district person and 4 speakers from the vendor, and they don't actually allow the district person to speak up very much. And then it kind of veers into more of a sales presentation in the end. So we've gotten negative feedback on sessions like those. So we want to make sure that if district implementation of a vendor's product includes really diving deeply into what the district did or what the COE did, not just having the vendor do the majority of the talking. Those are generally the vendor sessions that make it through the process. Thanks for that question.
Yeah, great question. So this is generally what the acceptance email will look from, and it will come from speakers@cite.org, as well as conference@cite.org. So the speaker portal. It launches in June of 2024, and in the portal, the speakers will have to complete certain tasks that we will assign them before the conference. And this includes information that we might need, or it might contain different changes that they might need to their session. It will detail it inside the actual speaker portal. And during the summer, we're going to have another Q&A to support the accepted sessions, as well as help with the speaker portal navigation, as well as understanding what tasks need to be done before we can implement the session. Because if you submit a session in March, it gets accepted and no action is done, we need some things to be done before we can put it in the conference itself. So please pay attention to the speaker portal. We'll make sure to send out mass emails once it's actually up. Now, are there any questions? We are open to taking any questions we need at this point in time.
Actually, I have a question. Looking at the room setups on a moderated panel, will there be a screen in there or no?
Yes, there will be a screen in the moderated panel. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions?
Yep. Feel free to ask them out loud or put them in the chat.
I do have a quick question.
Yeah.
I should know this from attending the conferences, but is there a preferred template for the presentation, or can we make our own?
You can make your own template. Yeah. Definitely. If you need help with that, or if you just feel free to reach out to us, and we can share a couple examples from previous conferences.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Questions about process, design? All right, we'll stop recording right now. And if you have questions, feel free to reach out to either of those 2 emails we referenced.